for the longest time, that's all I heard after posting on social media. I put so much time and effort into saying what I thought everyone wanted to hear, and then nothing. Can you relate to that? Because I don't think I'm alone. After months of writing and testing and waiting, I finally discovered a method that changed everything. A game changer was putting everything aside and everybody aside and speaking to just one person. And guess what? This realization not only relieved the pressure, but it made it easier to know what to say. I envisioned every detail about one person that I was speaking to. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but if you're struggling with what to say or how to say on social media, I have found it to be easier, and I have taught others, and they too have said it has become easier to speak to one person and create content for that one person. Instead of thinking, I have lots of customers that I can create content for, an endless amount of questions, we ask ourselves, what does this one ideal client really want to know? So when I talk about every detail to this person, I'm being very specific. I'm going to bust out very specific things about this person, which will help give you insight into how I create content, which would then, I hope, give you insights on how to create content. So when we talk about details, I gave my ideal client a name. Her name is Elle. And I gave her a personality, a family, hobbies, and a lot more. So whenever I sit down to create content, I think about Elle. Posting on social media, it makes it feel like I'm writing her a note. Going live on Facebook feels like I'm having a video chat with her. Sharing behind the scenes photos on Instagram stories seems as though I'm sending Elle a text message or a video message about how my day is going. And I know it feels silly, but I have to tell you, it's much easier to connect in a one-on-one conversation than to speak to a crowd. So instead of making some important speech, I created dialogue between me and my ideal customer, Elle. I'm not out here speaking or selling to the masses. I am having a conversation with somebody who trusts me. So before I press publish, I ask myself very specific questions in order to craft the perfect message. So question number 1, I ask myself is, what does Elle need to hear today? Number 2, how can I help inspire, educate, or humor her? And number 3, what is she emotionally going through right now? Now, I know that third question kind of has like a big question mark for a lot of people right now. But when it comes to emotions, when you could speak to somebody's emotions, you're going to be connecting with them on a much deeper level because we have innate desires, right? We want to be loved and fed and we don't want to be thirsty, things of that nature. But then we have these emotional desires that if somebody speaks to them, you immediately pierce to the course of who that person is. So the more I wrote to one particular person, the easier it became. And the more I attracted others just like Elle. Tens of thousands and then hundreds of thousands of people started listening to what I was saying. By speaking to one, you surprisingly appeal to many. Now, I know it seems counterintuitive, but I tried doing it the other way. I tried writing. I tried being all things to all people. But by being wildly generic and being wildly applicable to everybody, I was speaking to nobody. So those moments of feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, wondering if I was just speaking to a void and feeling like nobody was paying attention, those days are gone. And it's all because I figured out how to have a conversation with one person. My goal is to empower you to communicate with your ideal client so clearly that they can't but help want to connect with you and your business on a deeper level. I really want you to create this really distinct idea of who you're speaking to, that every time you're ready to post a photo on LinkedIn or host a room on Clubhouse or record an Instagram reel, like whatever it is that you're doing, you know it's going to be a perfect fit for your ideal client. And this is the best part. Your content is going to feel tailor-made for them. So I want to make a little bit of a quick note here on the term ideal client. In this episode, I'm going to be using this term to describe who you are speaking to and ultimately selling to on social media. So who you're speaking to and selling to on social media. For you, you may describe this person as like your perfect customer or the dream reader of your blog. or the ultimate student or a dozen of other names. What I want to be clear is that when I say ideal client, I'm referring to whoever it is that your product, service, blog, store, subscription, course, or anything else you sell that makes money. We want to make sure that this is perfect for them. So I'm using ideal client, but you know who I'm speaking to. That's who we're trying to speak on social media. Your dream, ideal, perfect person you want buying the thing that you're selling. So now that we're on the same page, I'm going to level with you. When it comes to speaking to your ideal client on social media, unfortunately, there's no megaphone option to ensure they hear everything you have to say. But come on, wouldn't it be nice? Hey, Instagram, put a feature that every time I push this nitro boost, everyone gets to hear what I have to say. No. Instead, you have to communicate virtually through the content that you post. Friend, it is a content game. People are like, but Jasmine, I'm a business owner. And I say things that are pretty polarizing. And I say things that your content is the gateway to getting discovered. You might have the best product or the best service, but in order to permeate through the noise, you have to create a piece of content that captures somebody's attention. And you communicate through your content. And in order to communicate through the content that you're posting, you have to be clear on who your ideal client is so your message can be crafted specifically for them. Now, this episode will not only help you determine who your ideal client is, but will also show you how to speak to them on social media in order to make connections and build relationships and grow your business. And no megaphone is required. Although, if they did add that feature, I would be the first to use it. Okay, so I want you to be prepared to take notes because after we're finished today, you are going to go from hearing crickets to being a social butterfly in no time. Did you guys get that? Come on. Come on, a social butterfly. Come on. Okay, that was a mom joke. It's important that you are extremely specific to give your customer life so that they feel real to you when you're creating content for them. Now, I'm going to be honest. Many business owners believe that niching down and defining their ideal client limits them. And they're like, no, I don't want to be that specific. But so many of them try to speak to everybody that they speak to no one. So I'm going to come out and say it again for the people in the back. I want you to write, speak, record, photograph, share, document, and post for one person. I want you to focus on serving them really well, and you will find a tribe of loyal followers that will trust you enough to invest in you because you're standing in your purpose and you're shining your light on them. So your content that you're creating for one person is going to be focused on helping and empowering and enlightening. And along that way, you're going to be building trust. So I know it feels like I'm trying to sell you on this idea of creating your ideal client or customer, but I believe this is what you have to do in order to get sales on social media. So I hope you're nodding your head, because if you're nodding your head and you're like, okay, Jasmine, I kind of agree that I'm going to have to speak to one particular person. And I believe that if I speak to that one person clearly, I'm going to be attracting more than just that one person. Great. So if we got to this point, then we're going to dive in with some basic questions to give your ideal client life. Give this person a name. I know it sounds crazy, but truly, whenever I'm talking to my husband, who's my business partner, I'll say, but does Elle think that? What does Elle watch? Sometimes we have conversations with the podcast producer, Christy, and I'm like, yes, but would Elle resonate with this? So we communicate about her as if she's a real person because we've given her a name. So give your dream customer a name. Number 2, ask yourself, how old are they? Now, I want to make sure that you're super specific about your customer's age, because knowing their generation, it could seem like a small detail, but it makes a world of a difference. And so instead of saying, I'm targeting a woman between 25 and 45, instead of saying, I'm targeting a woman in their mid-30s, no. Give this person an age. Make it a number. Say I'm targeting a woman who's 35 years old. Great. Let's give her a specific age so we can identify what generation she's come, because we want to be able to make cultural references and use examples that are familiar to her or to him. Now, the third question is to ask what they do for a living. Now, these are the 3 main questions that everybody should be answering about their dream customer. Because if they're a stay-at-home mom or a high-level executive, it makes a difference in the way that you speak to your ideal customer. Okay, so these 3 questions, I'm going to ask you, is your ideal client coming to life a little bit more? Is this person being carved out from the marble or like molded out from the clay? Good, because we're just getting warmed up. So I'm going to go through the next set of questions so that you get really specific. The first 3 were foundational. We have to know these things. And the more questions you ask and can answer about your dream customer, the easier it becomes to create content. Now let's dive into the additional questions. Number 1, are they single, married, or divorced? Number 2, do they have kids? If so, how many? Number 3, where do they live? Now, this is where I want you to get very specific. I don't want you to say, oh, they live on the West Coast. No. We have to give them a state and we have to give them a city. Why? Because we can start making references to city or suburbs or country life, things that are going to appeal to them and put ourselves in their shoes to get an understanding of the content they want to see. Number 4, how do they commute to work? Do they work from home? Do they use a car, subway, train? Number 5, what does a typical week look like for them? Get specific. Are they carpooling? Or do they play sports? Do they hang out with friends? Do they have movie nights? Number 6, how do they enjoy spending free time? Are they community focused, church focused, family focused? Have an idea so that you can make references to connect with them on social and create content that resonates with them. Number 7, where do they like to shop? Now, please do not say, oh, they just like to shop at Walmart or they like to shop at the mall. No. Let's get a list of specific store names so that you can, in your mind's eye, put yourself in that store, again, to find things that would resonate about them so that when we're creating content, we're thinking about things that appeal to them. Number 8, what's their favorite pastime? Number 9, what's their least favorite thing to do? And at number 10, what does their weekend look like? And I know that answering these questions might feel heavy and it might feel like you're just kicking against the goads. But I'm telling you, friends, the more real this person comes to you, the clearer it becomes what type of content you should be creating for that person. So now we're down to the last set of questions. And these questions focus on your ideal client's social media habits. This might be the most important part of identifying your ideal client because it tells you exactly when and where to speak to them. So here we go. Number 1, what's their favorite social media platform to be on? For example, if your ideal customer hangs out on Instagram more than TikTok or LinkedIn, this is where the majority of your content should live, even if you prefer a different social platform. Remember, you're creating content for your dream customer where they spend their most time, not your favorite social platform. Number 2, when are they most likely to check this platform? Maybe they check it before bed or after they drop their kids off at school. Either way, this is when you would post to increase the likelihood of them seeing it. Number 3, how much time do they spend on social media? For example, 30 minutes per day? But the average person, just as a side note, spends 2 hours on social media per day. Let's dive into question number 4 about social media habits of your ideal client. What type of accounts are they following? Now, this is an important question because you may be able to engage directly with your ideal customer in the comments of posts of larger accounts that you know they would be following. For example, maybe your ideal client would probably follow Pottery Barn or Anthropologie. Great. Now you could start looking at those feeds to find your ideal customer and start engaging there in the comments. Number 5, what content does your ideal client want to see? Okay, so knowing what type of content they want to see, this will really help shape your content. Does your ideal client like feel-good inspirational quotes? Or maybe they like video tutorials. The difference there is going to be knowing that this type of information, well, it's going to help you create content with a guide of proven success. So once you answer all of these questions, now I know it sounds daunting, but the greatest gift that you can give your business is to truly understand who your business is for. And once you do that, or maybe you've been working through it right now and you're writing your notes, I'm hoping you should feel your ideal client is so real that you can call him or call her up and sit down for a cup of coffee. Now, you know more than just their name, their age, and basic demographics. You know every intimate part of their day and their thoughts and their actions. And this, my friend, is exactly what will make you successful on social media. I remember one time I was giving a presentation and a gentleman, after I explained who Elle was and I explained her backstory, he stood up, went to the microphone and he said, Jasmine, what kind of car does Elle's dad drive? And I didn't miss a beat. I said a 1954 Ford truck. And this audience was silent. I said, I know Elle. Elle is real to me. I know her posture, how she sits on the back of her dad's folded down pickup truck, like that flatbed in the back. I know how her hands go over the fields of lavender as she's getting them for her goat's milk soap. I know these things, and the content that I create is to help her market and scale her business and get sales as a small business owner. I want you to know that person, your person, just as much and just as well. Now, I get it. You might be wondering, okay, Jasmine, how does this help me speak to them? I answer these questions. What's next? Well, when you know your dream customer, you're going to be able to use phrases that your ideal client uses. You're going to be able to make pop culture references your dream customer would understand. And you'd be able to express pain points and desires that your perfect client would resonate with. And then your content feels tailor-made for them. I'll never forget, I was a teenager and a car commercial had come on, and the music to the car commercial was a Jimi Hendrix song. And it was da-dun-dun-dun, da-dun-dun-dun, da-dun-dun-dun. And I'm probably off beat, but that was the guitar line. And my dad's like, he's like, I'm being marketed to. And I was a teenager and I didn't understand it. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, they're playing my favorite jams. Or hold on. Let me talk like my dad. They're playing my favorite jams. And now that I like Jimi Hendrix, I'm going to want to buy that car. And that was the first time in my, young adulthood that I understood that people were having cultural cues to target men of a particular age. So that car company knew exactly who they were trying to target. My question to us is, we have the same ability to do that now on social media. Because when you're able to think and feel and see things from your ideal client's perspective, you're going to be able to speak their language and grab their attention. And I want you to remember, as a side note, you right now listening, you are uniquely qualified to serve your ideal client. They just need to see that. So here are some ways that you can make sure your client finds your content. 1, if your dream customer's lifestyle is his or her professional career and they have more money than they have time, then maybe you should write short, benefit-driven captions focused on how your product or service will help them right now. Or maybe their primary focus is on starting or raising his or her family. Because life is likely to be very chaotic and busy for your ideal client, you can write lighthearted or captivating captions that make them feel good. And bonus points if you get them to laugh out loud with like a funny quip or a reel or a toddler saying or one of those like mom or dad isms. Okay? We are thinking about our dream customer and then tailoring our content for them. So here's another way to get your content in front of your dream customer's eyes. If you know your ideal client is likely an extrovert, meaning he or she gets energy from being around other people, you should focus on providing engaging content and then continuing the conversation with him or her in the comments and DMs. Now, maybe your dream customer is an introvert, like me. And that means that an introvert, we tend to recharge by spending time alone. Then it probably would take a little bit more time for them to open up to you. But hey, you can show that you understand their personality and write content that feels written directly towards them. It's very common for me to repost an introvert meme. And then I have this unique ability to connect with other introverts because they see it and they're like, I identify. And then we're able to connect via that way. So it's a silly insight into who I am as a business owner, but then opens the door for communication. Now, I'm going to give you one more way to showcase your content to really drive this point home. And it has to do with your ideal client's social media habits. If you are positive your dream customer is constantly on their phone and they can't stop scrolling, you need to create enticing, entertaining content to stand out from the crowd. This might mean that you need to step out of your comfort zone and do some dancing videos on TikTok or Instagram Reels. Now, I know people are rolling their eyes and say, like, please don't do this to me. Okay, I'm not going to force you. But if your ideal client is on social media and they're there often, they're going to want to be consuming what is the most popular thing. And right now, the Instagram algorithm is indexed towards that. So I would pay special close attention to what's performing. Now, maybe your ideal client is on social media sporadically. Well, maybe you can focus your attention on the type of content rather than the time that you're posting. So what we want to do is create a variation of content. It could be a variation of entertaining, educational, empowering. And then you're going to test what time periods get the most engagement, like likes, comments, and shares. So we want to make sure that we are posting diversity of our content. Getting a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to be testing the time that we're posting to see if that is having a difference. And if you're pretty sure that your dream customers on social media at very specific times of the day, like perhaps you know that you are targeting moms who are 33, who have 3 kids, and you know they have a very structured timeline, then you could probably guess like when they're on social media would be likely when their kids go to bed or during lunch break, things of that nature. Now, if you know that, then time is a very precious commodity for your dream customer. So you could pay attention to when they are on social media and make a conscious effort to be active during that time. So this is a really roundabout way of asking if you could see how getting super clear on your ideal client profile and then speaking directly to them will increase the likelihood that they will read your latest Instagram post or watch your new TikTok video or watch a Facebook Live. And then ideally, when they watch it, they say to themselves, wow, this person just gets me. Now that when you create content that makes your audience resonate in such a deep way that they just get you, that's going to be the secret to turning your followers into customers. And that right there, friends, that is where the magic happens. So I am so happy that you chose to show up for your business and tune into the Jasmine Star Show today. After all of this information, I'm sure you have a few questions about creating your ideal client. Now, in the past, I've learned that if one person has a question, there's a good chance others have it too. And that's why in just a couple days, I'm going to be releasing another episode of the Jasmine Star Show, a coaching session I had with Social Creator users about this very topic. So what I want you to do is to subscribe to the podcast right now. It's just 2 seconds to click that subscribe button so that you don't miss part 2 of this jam-packed topic. Y'all, we go deep. We get into 5 coaching questions around this topic that's super applicable to business owners. We get nitty, we get gritty, and we get actionable. Okay, but before you go, I want to tell you that very soon, I'm hosting a free class, how to plan, create, and execute a month of social media posts in 1 day. In it, you're going to learn how to pick the perfect photos to stop your followers scroll, what type of captions work best to speak to your ideal customer, and when you should be posting to help plan 30 days of content in just 1 day. So remember, you're uniquely qualified to work with certain people. So today, I hope I helped you identify them, talk to them specifically on social media, and now I want to help you close the deal by working efficiently as possible to get your business in front of their eyes. Come on, y'all. We can do this every day on social. You can register for this free class at jasminestar.com/30 days. I cannot wait to see you in the next episode of the Jasmine Star Show for our curator coaching session, answering questions about creating content for your ideal client. Bye, friend.